YouTube, Ninja Midget here, and this is going to be a video on the complete assembly of the Tokarev TTC, the Romanian model. So the first thing we're going to do is the slide, and we're going to go ahead and grab our firing pin and our firing pin spring and get that on there. And this goes in just like this, with this little groove in the up position. And the way I've found it's easiest to do this is to grab your small 1/16 punch and get this in there with some pressure. It's kind of a pain. Get your punch in as you're putting pressure on this. Do that, and then get your 1/16 punch in there so that it's captive in the position it needs to be in. It has to go in there pretty far, and your 1/16 punch will be enough to just hold that in there, just like this. And then what you want to do is you can go ahead and use your pin . There she goes. Okay. So it likes that flat part going in toward the front of the gun. That seemed to capture it better. Now you have your pin completely captured, your firing pin. Test the functionality. It's working fine. And there's your slide completely assembled. Okay, next part we're going to do is we're going to assemble the hammer, sear, and disconnector assembly. For that, you're going to need your hammer spring, your disconnector, your sear pin, and your hammer pin. And the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to put your sear and your disconnector together just like this. They go inside the gun just like this. There we go, just like that. And that's where your pin goes. So the way I found this is easiest is if you put your disconnector in first, slide this up inside this hole here where it goes, and then get your pin started. Your sear and disconnector pin, slide it through your disconnector so that it's in there, and then make sure and back it off so that it's not going to interfere with you getting the sear in. Now the sear, there's a little slot down here. This slot right here is where your sear spring goes. So you're going to put that in first, like this, and then you're going to look in on this other side and get your hole lined up. Once that's lined up, go ahead and push that on through. Takes a little bit of messing with it, but after a little while it goes in pretty well. Tap that in place. So there's your sear and disconnector in place. They're in the right orientation. Now that's the easy part. This part is the hard part. This is a very stiff spring. You want your safety glasses because this thing will want to jump out on you. So the way that I've found that this works best in getting this in is to use your 1/8 inch punch, and you want to push this in just like this. It's going to want to jump out on you. What you want is this spring is resting on this pin. And to get this together, this is going to need to be compressed all the way up in there like this. So it's under a lot of spring tension, and it wants to jump out on you. So just be careful and try to get it in there to the point where you can get that 1/8 inch or even your 1/16 inch in there. because that gives you the necessary leverage to be able to push down and maybe get your other punch in there. It's a little bit of a pain, but this part goes in real tight. That's really hard to get in there. The best thing you can do is take your time and just try to get it in there in the right orientation. It is a pain. And this thing is sharp and it's got jagged edges all over it, so it's really hard to, oops, tapping the camera here, really hard to get this in place just because it is full of sharp edges. You just want to cut your hands up on this dang thing. So that's generally what you want to be doing, and it's not easy. It wants to jump out on you. It's a matter of just finding that right angle where it's going to go down into place just enough for you to hopefully be able to get your pin in. There, wow. I am surprised I was able to get that in there. And there's your pin. Your hammer pin's in there now. Now what you want to do is you want to make sure that this is functioning. You want to pull this down. Make sure it captures on the sear. Then you're going to want to go ahead and hold some pressure on this. And you're going to push your sear forward. Make sure that comes forward. And it comes forward nicely. So that is your hammer, sear, and disconnector assembly. Right there. Okay, now we're going to start on the frame. And the first thing you're going to want to do, make sure your spring is in here for your trigger. You're going to slide your trigger up and inside. Slide it into place just like this. From there, what you're going to want to do is you're going to grab your safety selector, put your spring and your detent in there, just like this, and then you want to make sure the orientation is like this, so it's back toward these two holders for where the detent is going to be at. It's not going to want to go in automatically on you. You want to make sure and put some pressure on that detent, providing downward pressure on the safety until it slides into place, just like this. Then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take this clip. You're going to want to get this started because that's what's going to hold that in place. So you go ahead and grab a punch. You're going to tap that lightly in place, not all the way, just enough. And you should probably use a brass punch on something like this, just so you're not marring up your frame. Give it a good hard couple taps. Now that safety selector isn't going to be going anywhere on you. And there you go. Now let's see, what are we going to put together next? Okay, next we want to go ahead and do our mag release. So what we're going to do, we're going to get this started going through the hole on this side, just like this, and then we want to go ahead and get this going on this side. It requires a little bit of pressure to get it started, but it gets started pretty easy. Now, it's easy to get it in this position. That's not fully inside there. What you want to do is you want to take a punch on this side and you want to tap that good, because it needs to go in there so that this looks like a screw again. If those are compressed, what it'll do, and I've had this happen on me, is your pin will fall out of lock on that and your magazine will start falling out. So you want to make sure that that looks like a screw again, and make sure that those two sides are engaged. Okay, we are in the home stretch of putting together our Romanian Tokarev TTC. Next thing you want to do is you're going to want to put your hammer, sear, disconnector group in. But what you want to do is you want to cock this before you put it in. That's going to make the slide a lot easier for the slide to go on. And one of the reasons you want to put this in before is because if you try to cock this without having the slide on there, the tendency is for it to want to walk up out and jump out on you, just like that. And believe me, I learned that from experience. Okay, so the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put your grips on. And now this grip is going to go on this side, like so. Is that right? Or is this right? The more rounded part goes toward the bottom, I believe. Or no, excuse me, it's wrong. It goes in just like this. From there, you want to go ahead and grab a punch, and you're going to hammer this up so that locks it in place. Or you knock it straight out of the gun and have to reset and do it over, like me. Okay, try this again here. Get it in place, and then I'll lock it by tapping this forward. And that keeps wanting to walk out on me. Interesting. I haven't had that happen before. Okay, so see if I can just do this manually. Doesn't want to do it for me. Okay, well, I'll get this going one way or the other. There it is. Okay, that side's locked on. Next, in this side, when I first took this gun apart and tried to put it back together, I thought this up here was a cutout for the safety. It made sense to me. That's not. That's cut out for your lanyard ring. So don't try to get that in backwards. You want to slide it under the safety first, click it in place, then you've got your little two-pronged extension down there that you just slide over. Locks your grips in place. There you go. Your grips are locked in place now. Now, what you're going to want to do is you're going to go ahead and grab your mainspring, your barrel bushing, your slide stop. You're going to get all these together, and the first thing you want to do is you're going to go ahead and get your barrel in. Put your barrel in just like this. From there, you're going to want to put your barrel bushing in. Get that in there and slide that around. Then you're going to want to put your mainspring in. And this is a little bit of a pain. It just wants to spring out on you. So you just got to kind of hold your fingers here while you get this thing in place. And then once it's in place, make sure that your little there you go. You want to make sure that this is in the up position. Don't let go of that spring. It will fly on you. And then this is why we put the hammer back. So it's easy to get that in there. And it's not trying to push the hammer back. Get this in just to the point where it's going to show you where you need to push in your slide stop and lock it in place. And there you go. You got your slide stop in there. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to go ahead and tap your retainer back in place for your slide stop. There we go. And there's our retainer in place. And now check our functionality. The slide locks just fine. The hammer fires. Safety works just fine. Half cock works just fine. Gun is fully functional now. So there we go. The next thing I would do is check my magazine. Make sure that my magazine catch is functioning properly. Appears to be. Holds the slide open when the magazine is in. Eject the magazine. comes forward for me, and there we go. That is your Romanian Tokarev TTC fully assembled. Thanks for watching.